I would like to start with my presentation, sir. I'm audible, right? Problem, right?
We can hear you. We can see the screen.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. So, yes, as sir has said, challenges to psychological well-being during COVID-19 pandemic has been much on focus lately. I would like to start with how important it is to take care of mental health right now. So often it is understood that mental health and physical health are isolated, but they are not. So pandemic has given a direct threat on physical well-being. Now that is very important to consider before we talk about mental health, because it is not usual for any of us to get out of our homes every day and think of getting exposed to something which does not have cure, which is considered really fatal, and even if not fatal, it has impact on our bodies which are sometimes irreversible. That pressure, that is not something we are used to. Pandemics have had their history of 100 years, and I think for most of us this is our first one. So definitely that kind of stress is not something that we were used to. That does impact mental health. The second point, as it says, amplified impact on everyday struggles. I think Sir has said it. How even marriages, death, most functions, funeral rites, they have been really difficult with the pandemic, because let alone the exposure to the virus, our lockdown has had a greater impact than the virus itself on us. So that does impact emotional stability and mental well-being. But then somebody would ask why of it. So yes, prolonged stress of this pandemic impacts our ability to cope with struggles. These ability to cope is impacted the way we think, perceive, feel, and act. Generally, these four are the components which determine our ability to cope with something when a situation is brought upon us. What happens is, when we are under constant stress for being vulnerable to virus, or about the everyday struggles, these aspects, we do feel sometimes that these aspects are becoming unhealthy within us. So that is how our ability to cope gets a little impacted. Importance of mental health, coming to it, it is more important because mental health challenges are not as apparent as physical difficulties. If we have fever or any other issue with our physical health, it is very loud and clear. If we are under stress, we might have headache. If we have malaria, the parasite will be known in our blood. But mental health challenges are not that physically apparent. One might be going through a lot of struggles, and they can mask it. So what happens is, we consider ke अरे इसमें क्या हुआ, it is not so important. But no, even if it's not apparent, it is important, because of which I'm coming to next point, extremely important for functioning. We think our physical bodies are important for functioning. Just because we can drive, we can eat, we can breathe, it is important. But no, thoughts, emotions, our behavior, our actions, those are equally important. Those are equally existing within us at all times. So if those aspects were to go wrong in some way, our functioning would be impacted more than we can think of. And the last point here, before we jump into the real matter, is necessary to take care of mental health as much as physical health. This is, I'd like to give example for better understanding here is, okay, whenever we get fever, even if that fever is not much, even if it is just 9900, we would definitely go to a doctor after 2 or 3 days. That something's definitely wrong with me. Maybe it is dengue, maybe it is typhoid, because fever, we don't expect fever to last more than that. So what happens when we have unhealthy thoughts? What happens when we are not feeling good, when our mood is not good? Okay, for 2 3 days it is fine, but more than 2 3 days we still don't acknowledge that, because whenever the word mental health comes in, we directly jump to the conclusions that this person has gone mad. But do we do that when we talk, when we say word physical health? No, we don't. If I was to say that my physical health is not good, you won't jump to conclusion if I'm having any fatal disease or anything. But when I say my mental health is not good, there are high chances you might think that I have gone crazy. But that's not how it is or it should be. Mental health can be as minor as having fever. You could have a bad mood for 7 days straight, and it is still valid to be approached to therapist or at least considered as having an issue. So yes, this brings us to how important it is to consider mental health as well, and not and fight the taboo of the word. Well, as I said, physical in the beginning, physical and mental well-being is interrelated. What happens sometimes is when we mask our mental health issues for a long, long time, they might come to surface on through our body. It might want us to like signal through our body. Now, during the lockdowns and pandemic, I have heard so many people say that my anxiety has increased, or I have not been up to work. I don't like working at all. I might need a break from my job, and all those kind of things. Now, people think that's a physical reaction, but it might have mental health underlying issues. So these are some symptoms or signs, as I'd like to say, not symptoms, that we must notice if they've been going for a long time. They might be indicators of something more serious. Unexplained aches are one of the biggest things. I have seen so many people say कि मैंने सारे टेस्ट करवा दिए हैं, but there's nothing coming out of it. So at that time we might, this is something people doesn't know much, but yes, unexplained aches and pains in the body can be indicators of mental health issue. And as I say, mental health issue does not have to be a big disorder. It could be as simple as something bothering you for a long time. So even while the presentation, I don't want you to take it in a taboo manner. So easily fatigued, tiredness, yes, that is also a big indicator of it, because when we drain our emotional energy, even then we become fatigued. Fatigue is not just an indicator of drainage of physical energy. It's also about emotional energy. Drastic change in appetite and sleep are the biggest indicators of something going on serious within you. So definitely that and anger outburst, those are some definitely you should take care of. Some cognitive changes that one might pass off as it's okay, it's a phase, it will pass out. So these are something that you should definitely take care of. I would like to begin with apprehensive over unrealistic scenarios. Now, Homo sapiens might be the only ones who are gifted with higher reasoning powers, and the biggest and the most important one of them is imagination. But often we misuse our imagination, thinking of all the negative scenarios that might happen. And that misuse of imagination has only got more relevant during pandemic. So being apprehensive over those scenarios is only adding to our worry. So, and as I think this is something we'll definitely take more in this presentation itself. So I would like to go to constantly on guard for danger. Now, I think every species, not just humans, are designed to look out for danger. They have survival instinct, but to be constantly on guard for it is not healthy. So if you think it is normal, I'd like to say it is not. So please consider any inner problems you have when this occurs. Loss of interest or motivation for any activity. Definitely, some people very conveniently call it depression, but depression is a larger, very serious issue than this. But definitely, this is one of the signs one should take care of. Difficulty in concentration and forgetfulness is something most of us pass off as it's okay, ये तो होता है कभी कभी. But no, those are definitely, as I said, physical energy is not just the indicator of these things happening. Even drainage of emotional energy leads to this. So these are just signs I wanted you all to be a little aware of how mental health can impact and show signs through these things. I would like to start and focus with importance of thoughts here. As I said that we are going to tap upon worry and thoughts and imagination a little bit from a psychological point of view. So please be with me on this one. Whenever this is a psychological theory that whenever a situation comes, we first have a thought about it of what it represents, what danger, what harm, what benefits, what pros and cons. As humans, we do all of that when we are encountered with a situation. From those thoughts comes emotional part of it. So if there are harms and cons of it, then we are afraid, we are worried. And if there are benefits of it, we are happy, excited, and that leads to behavior. I would also like to clarify that thoughts and emotions are not a unilateral thing. They impact each other, and even consequently behavior is impacted by it. But only for this presentation and understanding of how it works, how we work, I have put it in a unilateral way. Now, how does this sequence have impacted us in the pandemic? So let's say our situation is pandemic, all the lockdowns involved, all the exposure to the virus, completely vulnerable to mortality, so, all the infrastructural issues. That gives us this is very normal for our unhealthy thoughts to be triggered by this, because this situation represents a lot of harm to us. So it is very natural to fall into the trap of unhealthy thoughts. But it leads to negative emotions like fear, apprehension, worry, which leads to not so very good and completely upset state. So on this presentation, the main focus for the next 15 to 20 minutes is going to be how to resolve this, how to not fall into the trap. So for that, we are actually going to know what are the unhealthy thought patterns that we go into, because when we don't know what is the problem, we might not even find a solution. So first, we have to know what problems do we face. So we'll be going through some unhealthy thought patterns. I'll be going in detail with each of them. We'll be explaining through examples so that in your regular life, even after the pandemic, if you find yourself falling into these patterns, you know that precaution is better than cure. You might find overlapping, and it is not mandatory to remember the technical names. That is the job of a psychologist and a therapist. All you have to know the pattern. So I have given names here for categorization and understanding, but you are not obliged to remember each and every of it to practice it in life. So let's start with all or nothing. This is kind of a thinking pattern where we see only black and white. So either the situation has all benefits or the situation has all losses. But that is not always the case. Our life is very complicated. There will always be gray areas. Good and bad times are not isolated. Let's understand it through an example here first. So let's say if I don't do it perfectly, by it I mean job here, I will lose my job and my life is over. Now let's understand here, in most cases, this is the best example of misuse of our imagination. In most cases, when we do not do our job perfectly, not direct consequences, never being fired or losing everything. Our supervisors or managers or someone in the hierarchy will help us. Maybe our colleagues will help us. Maybe we'll be given time to practice over it. Maybe we even have to sometimes listen to some scoldings by our superiors, but that is never that might never get into the level of, okay, I think I'm going to get fired today. But as humans, it is very natural to go to that all or none thinking, okay, today I am losing my job. But that will never be a case that, or in most cases, there might be some jobs which are very sensitive and one mistake and everything is over. But most of us, that might not be case. And it's not just about job. This all or none thinking this is a thinking pattern. It applies to all aspects of our life. So even in those aspects, we should try to look at the gray areas and not jump to bad consequences or worst consequences, as I must say. Moving on to overgeneralization. As it says, seeing a single negative event as indication of everything being negative. Now, a lot of times we say that just practice positive thinking. No, why not think about this? But what happens is, as humans, when we tell our brains to not think about something, it becomes a baby and it will try to think only about that thing just because you are trying to suppress it. So even with this situation, it might happen that you have picked up a negative event. You are trying not to think, but you will think about it, those negative things, and that single negative thing, you will pick up that, and you might think that this is the cause of everything other wrong. And this is how it's always going to be. But that is again not the case. Let's understand it through an example. I have failed this exam, so I'm stupid and I'll never get anything right. So this might, if any one of you have children, this example might fit with them. We are completely conditioned that if you fail this exam, you are not good at that subject. But that is not the case. There are so many that failing exam is single event. There are so many factors behind failing event that we forget and jump to a conclusion that because I failed at exam, I'm not good at anything. There could be, you might be sick on the examination day. There might be pressure in the examination room about something and you could not cope with it. And if any one of that factor is not responsible, at least there's always a chance to master that exam again. Even if not that exam, we all have different set of strengths and limitations. That exam, that topic, that subject might not be our strength, but it does not mean we're not good at anything else. We have strengths. No person was born without any strengths. So, as I said, these are just examples to practice how we fall into these patterns. This pattern can exist in other parts of your, other aspects of your life as well. Moving on to selective abstraction. As in overgeneralization, we picked one negative event. Selective abstraction, we choose 2 or 3 negative events and then we ground them in our belief system and make assumptions on the basis of it. So let's say someone had, through an example, we'll understand that someone had not a very rough patch, rough 2 or 3 hours at work. And they might say that no, it might have been a productive day, but in that 2 or 3 hours, I did not get peace. I could not do that. It could be as simple as having a bad tea. But they will still, like when you fall into this pattern, you might still feel that is also a highlight of the day, not having good tea. What happens is here, we have taken tea, we have taken a busy day as selectively things that have gone wrong with us and completely ignored something that has happened in the day. So as this person here who might have said that so what if I had a productive day? So he has deliberately ignored the good part of that day. That is how selective abstraction works. These are some reasons why sometimes positive thinking does not become possible. Not that that person does not want to practice positive thinking, but he has been conditioned into the pattern of this pattern, because even thought patterns are habits. You might have fallen into that pattern once, but then you fall into it twice, thrice, and then it becomes a reflex thing. So it sometimes requires a lot of uncovering layers. So it's not after this presentation you might think कि अब हम सब सही कर देंगे, but it takes time to come out of these patterns as well. Moving on to arbitrary inference. This thought pattern impacts our self-esteem a lot because it is directly related to what we think who we are. Jumping to conclusions on basis of inadequate evidence. This is in terms of what we think about our personality. You might here go through an example. Her tone was angry, so everyone is fed up with me and no one wants me. So here, someone's tone being angry is an external event, and somehow this person has taken it upon themselves that it was something wrong in them that they elicited that kind of reaction from someone. Now, when we come across these people in our lives, we just try to tell them that not everything is about you. Okay, why do you think everyone is concerned about you? But we must understand that this person has self-esteem issues because of which he's acting in this way. It is not that he's seeking attention deliberately or manipulating someone. That person has underlying issues because of which he has fallen into this pattern. And that is no excuse of labeling someone as attention seeker or manipulation, because as we said, we are born with strengths and we are also born with power to change. So if that person was to undergo therapy or counseling, then he might be able to overcome this. And as I mentioned in the beginning, therapy or counseling is not a bad thing. Just as you would go to a doctor for fever, you can go to therapy for something as small as this. Because our mental health, because look, we have reasoning powers, so we are going to have problems with it. So why not actually go to a doctor for that? If we have body and we have problems, we go to doctor. We have brain and we have problems, so we go to doctor. Okay, moving on to unhealthy patterns again. So exaggerating importance of negative events and underestimating importance of positive events. You might again see overlapping here, but through example, it would be more clear. I made a real fool of myself at the party, so I'll never be able to face them. So now not only a single negative event is taken into consideration, but the impact of it is exaggerated. Again, misuse of our imagination. Not that if you have made fool of yourself at a party, you will be bad at all parties at all times. And it is not even possible that all of them will remember you for that. Sometimes people do forget. It's a matter of time, but the consequence of what has happened in the party is exaggerated by that person in their mind. Practically, people do tend to forget what has happened, or people do even tend to ignore what has happened. They might not even consider it as an important thing. And this actually goes on to other areas of our life, definitely in work areas, because in work areas our performance, our evaluation is very important to us. So when we do something wrong or some mistakes are made, the consequences that we imagine that might happen are very exaggerated than what might actually happen. So it is not advisable to worry about things that have not happened yet. Personalization, as this is even more related to self-esteem than the previous one we saw. Attributing bad things to self despite evidence to the contrary. In last example, we didn't have inadequate evidence. In this case, we might even have evidence that we are good people and we would still feel we are not. So let's see how it works actually. This is very interesting. Why does it always rain on the day I decide to go meet my friends? Now raining is completely beyond anyone's control. And yet it has been taken upon themselves that only when they go to do something. This is classic example of why me. So it is again, a little counseling would help, a little even self-awareness would help. Even if you know now that these are the thought patterns we fall in, you can consciously try not to fall into. You can consciously try to think that how rain is related to my going anywhere. Do you even think clouds or Mother Nature care about you going anywhere? It could have happened to anyone. We're 7 billion people. Moving on, assuming what you feel must be true. Until now, we have been looking at examples where external things were triggering something internal. But in this particular pattern, internal stimulations are something that gives bad external reactions. So let's see the example. I feel guilty, so I must have done something wrong. Now, that is not how it works. You are feeling guilty cannot be a cause of something you've done wrong. You are feeling guilty can be an effect of it. But when self-esteem issues are on purge, it might happen that whatever bad you are feeling are the cause of everything. So that is something we must can in our normal lives, even if we do not approach counseling, even in our normal lives, we can after this think of whether we are doing these things. The last one I think is labeling, condemning oneself as a total persona on basis of single event. So let's consider that there are some mistakes that are objectively wrong. Let's consider that you have done something which is wrong, but then that does not make you a bad person in the whole. So this is completely about your internal world. Let's understand, if I was so irritable with the children in morning, I'm a terrible mother. This actually happens very much to mothers, and not just in India, all over the world. It is difficult to stay always happy and cheerful with children. We have got to make them do certain tasks, and we might have to become strict for that. But when we do that, obviously children are going to make puppy faces. They are going to try to completely dissolve the situation. And at that time, as an adult, we might feel what kind of people we are. What are we doing to our children? But that is not how it works. The task was important here. What one action have you done here does not mean you are completely a bad person. You have other areas. You also have potential to change. You have also potential to rectify mistakes if it was actually a mother doing something wrong. So no, if you have one dark side to your personality, does not mean your entire personality is dark. So here we end with what are unhealthy thought patterns, and this was only to know what kind of problem occurs in life, so that so that even without counseling, when you actually move in your life, at least you know that these might be the things I'm doing. We might now come to, let's move forward to how to counter this, how to actually deal with these patterns. Let's the very first step here is practice identifying such thought patterns. You have to accept the problem first. You have to know the problem first to deal with it. And then comes consciously replace negative thought with an alternative consequence. In all of the examples, you might have noticed it is completely misuse of imagination when we fall into this pattern. So the best solution to this is, I would actually refrain from calling it solution because it takes a lot of trial and error before we reach that level. But let's say for now that the solution to this is to have an alternative positive consequence. Think of it. Think of how whatever situation we are in can have a good consequence, better consequence. But this is easier said than done, which is why I have come with an example today, so that you can, on basis of this, later practice this in your real life. Let's say the example is something that we are facing. They laughed at me, so they will never respect me. Now, this can happen anywhere: family, work, parties, social life, friends. This could happen at any place. And respect is something, it's a very innate need. Even though it has to be earned, most of us want ourselves to be respected in all sectors of our life. So respect is something which people are easily triggered on, I have seen. So let's consider this example. You can put it in any aspect you want to. They laughed at me, so they will never respect me. Now, I don't want you to name any pattern that we have gone through. Just understand how it has worked. They laughed at me can have a lot of other possibilities. They are not laughing just at your entire potential. They are not laughing at your life. They might only be laughing at something that you have done. That does not mean they will never respect. Even let's see if they were laughing at you for everything. So there will be times when you will be able to challenge your actions, your efforts will be able to challenge that belief about you. You have to give it time and yourself some credit. So let's understand, this is just me explaining, but what can actually be alternative thoughts? How can you actually practice thoughts and such actions? Let's say alternative one is they laughed at me today, but there will be other instances to prove my talent. This is what I was talking about. There is always a chance to rectify. They laughed at me, but there I will put effort into. If it's in work sector, if it's in relationship sector, you can say that I will work at it and I will prove you wrong. Or the other alternative here could be they laughed at me, but I do not require their validation to do my work. Now, this is a very important, this is an advanced level of having good self-esteem and all self-love and those things. When you know that you are more than what they are laughing for, when you have more talents, when you have more potential than what they have perceived, you do not require their validation. You do not require their not laughing at you. You do not require their appreciation. You do not require their reward. You do not require anything. You just focus on what you have and what you have to do with it. So these are the way you can actually counter your negative thoughts with your healthy thought patterns. It might after this presentation it would be very normal if you are all very motivated, but I still want to tell you that it does take time to actually come out of this pattern. It requires a lot of trial and error. Nobody is stopping you from actually practicing it, but a little give yourself some time. It's any change in us do not come overnight. Although we are potential of change, it cannot always happen overnight. So yes, this is a completely second part of our presentation, which is stressors during the pandemic. We have already focused until now on how thought patterns occur when we face a situation and how we can deal with our thought patterns. But that is our inner work. Thought patterns and whatever we have discussed until now is the inner work we have to do. That still does not take away from the fact that pandemic is a very extraordinary situation and has brought upon completely different stressors than we were used to until now. So now we would focus a little on practical side of the pandemic, but with a scientific or a psychological point of view. Whatever you see in the red are, I'm trying to give a news flash kind of an effect where these are the very important things that have happened in past year. So we'll go into each of them in a little detail. First of all, we would like to come with rumors and misinformation. Before we go on to whatever problems we had in our lifestyle or in our family life or work life, the biggest thing was rumors and misinformation, because whatever struggles we anticipate we are going to have depended on the news that we heard. So rumors and misinformation are a big part of it. Now, I might not give you practical solutions, but I will try to translate how inner work can be do in certain situations. First of all, it is completely normal to take break from social media and news. This is very important. As much as important it is to be updated with everything, it is important to even take break. Because initially, when something new happens, it might happen that media houses or the entire news industry, journalism, would come up with something that they have not verified. So it is okay to take break, and or if you do not want to take break, you can verify sources of news. You don't have to look at every channel and get completely overwhelmed by it. You can focus on a few experts in the field and listen or read only to them. So that is one thing. Converse, listen, experts and doctors, as I said, consciously search for good news. As I've mentioned, good and bad times can coexist together. So yes, pandemic, a lot of bad things were happening, but alongside there have been some good things. I think it was during the first lockdown that I came across this news page, which I don't remember now, but they had shown how lockdown. It was strict lockdown for 3 months in the beginning. That had brought good changes in our environment. Some people said the ozone layer is stitched back now. Some people said flamingos and dolphins are back. Some people said the sea is clear. So. Okay, yes, mortality, humans were affected, but there are good sides, and it is even to the humans there were good sides. So many people were donating selflessly. Suddenly, humanity sprang up within all of us. So it is. You might think this is not important, but to your own psyche, when they have, as in your own mind, when it has taken so many attacks of negative things, a little positive thing will cheer your inner self up. Having young children in the family during lockdowns, I will definitely try to shorten up my lecture here because I'm working as a counselor in a school and I have so many inputs on this one. But as I said, I'll try to shorten up. With young children, yes, young children actually need a lot of stimulation, and lockdown has only done the opposite of it. We have curbed them from all this stimulation. So, what can you actually do to keep them in house, to keep them sane, and to keep all of us sane? I think children work best with proper schedule. We might not understand the importance of it, but children have a very vast capacity to form habits. And if you keep them in proper schedule, your entire household is going to come into schedule because they will stick to routine and schedule more than you will ever be able to. So if you want your household to be organized while having young children in house, I think instilling schedule in them will put you and your household more in schedule than you might have expected. Plan family indoor activities. I always suggest this even when parents come up with issues in the place I work. What is very important is our children, they're dependent on us. Young children, definitely. They're dependent on every possible thing. They can't change their clothes on their own. They can't feed themselves. And when that happens, as adults, we might become obsessed with instructing them what to do and what not to do. This creates a grudge in their mind about us being authority. Why I emphasize on indoor activities is that gives a chance to them to see you as friendly, affectionate people and not just as authorities who are trying to tell them what to eat, what not to eat, when to, how to walk, how not to walk. This indoor activities will give them a chance and you also a chance to develop a very intimate, affectionate bond with them. The next one is appreciate their curiosity. Understand that these children have not seen the world as you have seen. Their reality is lockdown and pandemic. So they might be curious of a lot of things, and how much ever bored, stressed, exhausted you are, it is not their fault. It is not, being curious is their innate, but they learn through their curiosity. So appreciate it and set examples for screen time. A lot of parents have come to me and said he does play games for like 6 hours. Now understand, if you are on Instagram or WhatsApp for all days long, then even children will think that is what we have to do. Children learn everything from adults. They even learn the accent of their parents or people they live with. So they are definitely going to take up on how much you use your phone. So before you set limits for your child, you might have to set limits for yourself. You cannot instill fear or instructional guidelines for children when it comes to screen time or when it comes to anything they love. You have to be exemplary role models before they can do. When you become role models, it might not even occur to them that they can actually push limits for things you don't want them to. It will come very naturally to them. Be their role models and not their authorities. People who are newly married and under lockdown. This has come up more than I ever thought it would come up. I have seen so many people complain about this, but I think a clear and straight understanding here is, be it any type of marriage, have you whether known your partners earlier or not? It is completely different to meet your partner every day for 2 hours and then suddenly sharing a home and responsibility with them. You might come across so many things that you will not agree upon or will not even understand why the other person or what he's saying, where it becomes necessary to understand each other's perspectives. We must understand that our partners come from completely different family background. They have a different upbringing, their own ambitions, goals, everything is different. So their take on anything that you disagree has to do with all of that. A person does not come to a decision all of a sudden. Their history, their background is always under the play. So listen to each other perspectives rather than arguing. And the best part here is to even avoid those times is to know your partner's history and background, know their inner self. Knowing what they want to eat or their color or what they like in clothes is not as important as knowing what experiences they have been through or what their expectation is from marriage or what their expectation is from life. So that taking interest into each other's lives will solve a lot many problems than mere arguments. Plan activities to be done together. It's same rule as your planning activities with your children. Because that will give you time to look at each other in a normal sense, in a fun sense. That's the kind of break we all need. Living alone with families due to posting outside hometown in lockdown, this is also one thing. I myself was studying abroad when the pandemic had a breakout. So I think allowing yourself to vulnerable is the biggest thing here. When it comes to our family and friends, we have taken them so much for granted in our normal lives that we think it is very normal to not express ourselves to them. It is very normal to not tell them our issues. But when we are in such an extraordinary situation, having one place where we can vulnerable will help a lot. You might say I've written keep extra food and medicine. That is because for every living species, their survival is very important. So when these things are stacked up, you might feel a little in control, a little secure about it. Moving on, travel restrictions. I think travel restrictions is something we have all experienced, and it is very in relation to living alone without our families. So these are some very basic things. I don't think inner work has much to do with travel restrictions. So yes, but important one is make time for hobbies and interest. So you might not be able to be with your family, or even working on your hobbies might not be as same in your household, but do make time for it. Do find alternatives of doing that. Loss of income from business and employment. That is some very serious loss many people have been through during pandemic. Even inner work becomes very difficult when such things happen. But the most, I think, the most important here is to be easy on yourself. Although you combat over cry, although you try to solve the situation first, be easy on yourself, one step at a time, because you are not alone in this. So many people have gone through loss of incomes. So, and this situation is not going to heal over time. How much efforts you put in. This is something that has gone beyond our control. All national and international economies have collapsed. So it's not something that we will be able to overcome overnight. So be easy on yourself. Deterioration of trust in healthcare infrastructure. My only giveaway here is that any healthcare infrastructure in the world is never prepared to take 100% of its population in. We might blame our healthcare infrastructures, but understand no hospital or like if you're, let's say Ahmedabad's population is 85 lakh and we might have very good 15 to 20 hospitals. Even if we increase the capacity to 35, no healthcare infrastructure is ready to take all 80 lakh people at once. So I think the only takeaway is here to build before we cry over how it's not built. It's I think important here is to contribute and start making this situation better, because this is completely something which will not be very natural. Bad work from home conditions is again very lockdown specific issues. It is normal, it is very natural that we are never accustomed And when we are at home, there are so many other responsibilities. I myself have faced this thing where I'm in a very serious counseling, and suddenly the trash people will say we want this, and suddenly electricity bill people will say now do this. So it is very natural. Again, the best thing is to give it time and get adapted to it as fast as you can, because this is something that's going to stay with us for some time. So, and as I said, humans are completely capable of evolution. So yes, we if we could adapt from staying in caves to staying in apartments, we can adapt to working at our homes from our office as well. Lethargic environment, yes, these are only the solutions I'm giving, and not even trying to address what lethargic environment becomes in our houses while we work, because we all know already that. So yes, proper lighting, sitting arrangement, and clean work spot might look very normal solutions, but they work wonders. They do work wonders. We all need a certain structure to us when we are working, and this might provide a lot. Maintaining routine and categorizing work and home responsibilities. So if both husband and wife are working, categorize that we will do this, I will do that, you do that, this time that. Have healthy conversations about it, and communicate concern with peers and colleagues. We are all going through the same thing, so they might actually have answers to our problems we have. There's no harm in communication. Risk of relapse in pre-existing health conditions and common symptoms of, I think I'll take both of these together, because it is very natural for us to think that whatever fever we have is a part of COVID. I think during monsoon, in the start of monsoon, we all were worried. Everybody was going through some other kind of viral infections, and we were thinking that this is something serious. The best part is to know your body and knowing trajectory of COVID. If you know that every monsoon you get this, if you know that every change of season you go through this, you should take a little calmer approach to it and know the trajectory of COVID. That information will help you a lot. If the trajectory of COVID in second wave was the oxygen drop or extreme fever, cold and cough all together, then you must distinguish your symptoms from it. And the best part is test yourself. This part is, I think, that I have taken something from my experiences of working with people. Self-esteem is a huge issue in our environment, be after pandemic or before pandemic. The worst part is after pandemic, self-esteem issues have come to so much of surface, and these issues are something that have triggered unhealthy thought patterns, that have triggered a lot of unhealthy emotions. So very quickly, I will go through this. Take it slow. You do not have to be good and perfect at everything at one go. Pandemic situation is new, and small expectations from oneself. Pandemic or not, small expectations is from oneself. Although we are capable of change, nothing happens overnight. So we have realistic expectations. And realistic expectations have to do a lot through social media, which is my second point. Social media, everybody put happy things, everybody, and then the audience will think how happy they are. Why is my life not as happy as theirs, or not perfect as theirs? If somebody posts some good villa pictures, we completely assume what a very expensive good vacation they had. Why can I not do that? But maybe they have had some deals. So please accept your own journey. Even if someone posts that I got a job and the other person did not, accept your own journey. You take time. It's not necessary that if someone has achieved something, you will also achieve that thing that very time. And you don't even have to. We are all on different journeys. Productivity, it is so important. As humans, we have been conditioned to think that earn your food and earning is your only goal in your life. But work, earn, office, that are not the only things. And even if they are, that is not directly proportional to your worth, to your value. Even on the days you cannot work, even on the days you might not have achieved big goals, as human, you are valuable to a lot many people. Even when you have not had a good day at work, you are still very valuable to your wife or husband. You are still very valuable to your children. You are still very valuable to your parents. Work is not the only detrimental of we are, or how important or how valuable we are. We are valuable in other ways as well. Moving on, I think my next two slides are going to be about trauma and suicidal thoughts. These are very sensitive topics, but I only want you to be aware of how these things work out. But I will not give solutions for this thing in the presentation because they are very sensitive and deep layered things, and you will have to approach a therapist for that. There is no quick solutions to such sensitive issues. So yes, anxiety attacks, flashbacks, and dissociation are big indicators of trauma. And you might think that your life is very happy and that pandemic has not directly. There are so many people who have said that I am having anxiety attacks, but everything is fine in my life. Like मेरा कोई job भी नहीं गया है, मेरा pandemic में सब अच्छा रहा है. Then what trauma I might have faced? Understand, pandemic in itself is a trauma. You thinking that you're exposed to something that might kill you is also a trauma. You don't have to go practically on a war and face guns and bullets to have a PTSD. Even smaller issues can have trauma on you. Flashbacks, I think it is very self-explanatory. Dissociation, this is a lot of people say बहुत weird हुआ है आज मेरे साथ. I don't feel like I'm in my body. It's normal. You might think that it is very weird because obviously it does not happen to us every day. But since pandemic has been so impactful, a lot of people have been going through this. There's only one, there are so many, but there is one logic I'd like to give you here. Our bodies can take stress as much as it can. When it cannot, it tries to escape from it. When there's a physical danger, we physically escape. When there is inner mental emotional danger, we mentally or emotionally space out. The flight fight situation that you might be aware of, that kind of mechanism happens in our mental emotional cells as well. When our mental emotional stress is too much to deal with, we space out, we become numb to it because we are trying to escape it. So it's very normal, but do approach the therapist. With suicide, if you are having suicidal thoughts, there could be a million reasons for which you might need therapy. But while you have those thoughts, I would like to tell you that do not judge. I'm not saying you might have those, but you can help with this knowledge to anyone you know who's going through suicidal knowledge. God forbid. But yes, do understand that the person who's going through suicidal thoughts is not asking for attention. Attention is gone beyond the thing. And they might be already judging themselves for having such abnormal thoughts as they think. So do not judge the person, or if you are having, do not judge yourself of what you are feeling. Passing thoughts versus part of life. Passing thoughts, you might have passing thoughts, but when those thoughts become so dominant and so part of your life, I think therapist is something you must approach as soon as possible. Talking about suicide is a taboo, but we collectively have to open up to it. If the person, because if we do not accept someone talking about suicidal thoughts, we are only helping him to not talk about it. So be open about it, even if you are not having it. This will encourage people to be more open. And this is a very important thing to understand. Do I really want to die, or do I really want something to end in my life? Which is very significant. Most often people who are having suicidal thoughts do not want to end their lives. They want to end a significant problem in their lives, but it's only when they think they have run out of options of solutions, they think that the ending the life is the only solution to their pain. So if you are actually dealing with someone who is going through this, help him understand this concept. But again, a therapist might do this in a very systematically and professional and trained way than how much ever you might be able to help. But a little help does not do any harm. So please keep these questions. And this is where I come to the end of my presentation. Returning to work after lockdown, as sir has mentioned, that there might be we might be approaching an end of the lockdown. We don't know if third wave is on the horizon or not, but obviously there will be some time in our lives where we are coming out of the pandemic. And these are some very self-explanatory points. I do not have any psychological insight into it, but I've come across situations from which I have gathered this. And you can take care when you return to work after the lockdown opens. So
Thank you,
I'll give
ma'am.
you, yeah.
Thank you. Thank
So, a very good evening to all of you, dear officers, my dear friends. I'll begin from exactly where my co-panelist has just ended. I hope, Raji, you can hear me well.
Sir, you're audible, sir.
Yeah. See, my co-panelist has actually given you a very clear insight into the scientific aspects of coping up with the psychological stress related to COVID-19. In my lecture, I'll be talking to you about the emotional aspects as well as the practical solutions to cope up with a lot of questions which comes to our mind, which makes us anxious, which makes us worried during this pandemic. In the next 1 hour, if you're with me, I'm so sure you will get a lot of insights which will make things easy for you to cope up with the challenges to the psychological well-being during this COVID-19. See, I'm going to discuss my COVID time worries, but then first of all, I'd like to tell you, it's very normal to be sad or to have worries when you face life's adversities, especially in a pandemic like this. It's so natural for everyone to face bouts of unhappiness, anxiety, sadness, worries. It's so important for every one of us to understand it's natural. But what is more important is our response to this worry. You have to choose the response correctly so that there will be positive outcomes. You should understand first, to do that, what is worry all about. Worry is that feeling which makes us anxious about things which has happened in the past, maybe happening now, and may happen in the future. To understand worry better, we can divide worry into two. One is productive and one is non-productive. The name itself suggests productive means you have control over your thoughts. You have control over that worry. You can change it. I'll give an example. My child is not studying well. I came to know when my teacher from the school, she calls me and say, my child has not got good marks. Then what will I do? Of course, there will be worry. But what will I do? Will I worry all the time or will I focus on solution? I will focus on solution. Why? Because I can control and change the situation. I will come early from the office for about 1 month's time. I will sit with my child for more time. I will try to clear his doubts. I will personally supervise how he studies, and in the next exam, I will be happy to see he is getting good marks. Imagine a person gets diagnosed with diabetes. What is the immediate reaction? Obviously worry. What is going to happen to me? I'll tell you, do not worry at all if you get diabetes. My mother-in-law, she has got diabetes for so many years, almost 30 years, more than 30 years. She eats her medicines well, takes the prescribed medicines well. She has a good routine, takes care of her diet. Now she's more than 75. She's very happy and she's very alive. So what will I do when I get diagnosed with diabetes? Initially, I'll worry, but I know I can control the situation. I will change my diet. I will exercise more. I will take the medicines. So what I'm telling you, worry sometimes is good, provided it actually brings positive outcomes, solutions. But the problem is non-productive worry. See, when I say about non-productive worry, you should understand I cannot control or change the situation. I cannot control or I cannot change. For example, someone tell me, I'm aging, I'm growing old. It can be a worry for some. Actually, it should not. Because when you grow old, you are not growing only in age, you are growing in wisdom also, in experience also. When I was a child, I loved my grandmother and grandfather more because they used to spend more time with me. They used to tell me stories. They used to share my experiences. Anyone who is old should always think many who have born along with me are not there now. But then I survived. What should I do now? I can use my experience. I can use my wisdom to help the young generation. But still people worry. I'm aging. What I'm telling you, can you change it? You cannot change it. See, when you cannot change a situation, what should you do? You should accept and you should move on. You should accept the situation and you should move on. Unless and until you accept that situation, you will worry more. And then it will become a worry cycle. You're worrying about something you cannot change. In the first case, it's not like that. You're worrying about something which you can change. See, what and if are two simple words, but you put it side to side, it becomes one of the most destructive words for anyone who is suffering from anxiety or worries. You ask any chronic worrier, he will tell you, my biggest threat is this what if thoughts. What if? All of us get these thoughts. I'll tell you one or two interesting experiences. Once a girl came to me and she told me, I'm going to get married, but I am scared. I asked her why. What if my husband turns out to be a monster, a cruel man, a wicked man? I told her, the monster is not going to be your husband. The monster is within you, in your mind. What if thoughts? Remove that monster, everything will be fine. I met her a few months ago after her marriage. She was very happy. I asked her, how is the monster? So she told me, sir, no, he's not a monster, he's an angel. What she had done actually, she removed the what if thoughts. You remove your what if thoughts, a monster can become an angel. I will suggest a method to do this. You replace what ifs with so what. So what? What if I get COVID? So what? I'll get treatment. What if I lose the job? So what? I'm so capable, I'll try to find another one. What if I'm able to pay my loans? So what? I will go to the bank, I'll talk to them. I'll tell them I'll repay. Worst case scenario, if you're not allowing, what I'll do? I'll sell one of my assets. If I have only one home, I'm not able to do it, what will I do? So what, I'll sell that. I'll go and stay in a rental house. When things become normal, I'm so sure I'll be able to buy that house back because I'm so capable. Challenge what ifs with so what. Once a businessman, he called me and he told me, I'm so disturbed, I want to meet you immediately. I asked him why. He told, I'm getting this what if thoughts now. What if I die tomorrow? This is my thought for today. What if I die tomorrow? I want to meet you immediately. I want to talk to you. I told him, today and tomorrow I'm having a lot of appointments. Can I meet you day after tomorrow? He happily agreed. He told, it's fine. I'll meet you day after tomorrow. I smiled because he forgot he was going to die tomorrow. When he challenged that what if thoughts with so what? I'm going to meet my counselor. I'm going to speak to him. His anxiety left him. All of us have got a thought in our mind, what if I get infected with COVID-19? Challenge it with a so what thought. So what? I am following all COVID-19 protocols. I'm washing my hands. I'm using good masks. I'm not going to crowded places. I take a bath whenever I come back to my house. And more important, India's recovery rate is among one of the best in the world. More than 97.3% is the recovery rate, current recovery rate. Why should I be scared about this what if thought? What if I get COVID? More than 97.3% people are getting recovered. Should I count myself in that 97.3 or should I count in the remaining 2 or 2.5 or 2.7? People with extreme what if thoughts, they will definitely count themselves in this 2 or 2.5. Then what will I do as a counselor? I will take you from the 2.5 and put you in this 97.3. I will not let you go over there. It's unbelievable. 97.3 and you are not confident you will be in the 97.3 and you think you will be in the remaining 2 or 3. India's mortality rate, people who die of COVID, it's one of the lowest in the world. Why should I worry? Majority of India's COVID patients, you know, they show mild symptoms or they are asymptomatic and they recover fast. All COVID-19 drugs are now available in India. But more than that, developed countries may have a better health infrastructure. Technologically, they may be better than us. But India's health workers are among the most dedicated in the world. You go anywhere in the world, you will find doctors and nurses from India. Anywhere in the world. You have to salute these health workers. Trust them completely. Even though they are tired working round the clock, when a patient comes in, they put a smile on their tired faces so that we can smile. So I trust my health workers. I trust my doctors. I trust my recovery rate. I am not worried about what if I get COVID. An interesting question. Again, what if the COVID-19 vaccines are not safe and efficient? This is something very interesting. We got 2 vaccines. One is Covaxin and Covishield. And what happened, you know, after that, many of us have taken Covaxin or Covishield, which is very efficient. I will come to that point later on. India's own vaccines, we should be proud. After that, we got so many vaccines coming. Pfizer, Moderna, Novavax, Zydus, Cadila, a lot of vaccines are coming. Sputnik. Now people are confused. Which one should I take? I've taken Covaxin or I've taken Covishield. Pfizer would have been better. Zydus Cadila would have been better. This is human nature. We are never satisfied. We are never content. See, when we are hungry, we go to a house and we ask them, I'm so hungry. Please give me some food. They give us some dal chawal. Rice and dal they give us. And they tell us, come every day over here. I'll feed you. So we go there 2 or 3 or 4 days. They gave us rice and dal and then we ask them, is there no paneer? If some paneer was there, it would have been better. So they gave us paneer for 2-3 days, we got it, and then we feel there should have been some sweets also. This is human nature. We are never content with what we have. This is why we are worried. Otherwise, if you look at ourselves, we have almost everything in life, but we never feel so. See, I'll tell you something interesting. I told you we should be proud of Covaxin and Covishield. We have it in India. More than 130 countries have not received a single dose of COVID-19 vaccine, United Nations chief has told. More than 130 countries. And in our country, more than 32 crore vaccine doses has been given. We have to learn to appreciate. Why should we not worry about vaccine side effects? COVID-19 vaccine is safe, our government says, our doctor says, they all tell we have to get vaccinated. That's the only way we can come out of this pandemic. So till yesterday, more than 32 crore vaccines has been given. In a day, more than 52 lakh vaccines are given. So in a year's time, all of India can be vaccinated. We can be out of this. To anyone who has a thought, what if I take this vaccine and something happens to me, I'll tell you, challenge with a question. So what? 32 crore people have taken these vaccines. They are all safe. I will count in myself in this 32 crore. Challenge what if with so what? WHO says COVID vaccines protect against top variants. Just before me, my co-panelist Mehak has explained in a very nice, beautiful way about the news which you hear every day, about mutations, about new variants. Virus mutations are quite natural. Delta variant. What happens, we are overexposed to news. I have a maid, an elderly lady who comes to my house to work. So I asked her one day, always she's happy. So I asked her, you seems to be so happy. You're not worried about this COVID and all. She told, why should I? I have taken the vaccine. I've taken Covaxin. I'm so fine. I did not ask her about Delta or Delta variant or anything like that because she is not bothered at all. For her, I got a vaccine, I'm safe. For us, we watch this again and again and again and fill our mind with all these different aspects which even those who say do not know clearly. Different variants, mutation, this is going to happen. So when WHO says COVID vaccines protect against top variants, we should believe them. I'll tell you something, an interesting survey, Mumbai. I'm very proud of Mumbai because they have done their level best. The BMC, everyone. So they've conducted a survey. In that survey, they have told of the 2.1 lakh COVID patients in Mumbai who were surveyed from January 1 to June 17, just 26 reported being infected after receiving the second vaccine dose. After receiving the second vaccine dose, only 26 out of 2.9 lakh. I should consider myself in this 2.9 or minus 26 of 2.9, or should I consider myself in 26? What does this show? When you take these vaccines, it can protect you. Vaccines doesn't mean you may not get it, but then it will be mild. That's what most of the doctors say. It will save you. But in this case, you can see only 26 people have been reported as infected. As again my co-panelist told, this is new to all of us. We have to be patient. See, when the lockdown happened 1.5 years back, what information we had that time and current information, drastic difference is there. Lot of new things. ICMR is giving us briefings. They tell us exactly what is happening. You've learned a lot about this coronavirus. So do not worry about vaccinations. Now, very important. The next thought is, what if my business suffers loss? This is something which many of us have in our mind, and any counselor cannot in a minute or in a day or in a month convince anyone who suffers losses in the business that everything is going to be right. I will try. Financial worries is one of the most important reasons for stress during this COVID pandemic. Many of us have shut down our businesses or lost our jobs. But I'm telling you, we can and we will, or we should fight this pandemic, and we should come out of this. We can. How? I'll tell you. You have to adapt and change. Adapt and change. You touch a tortoise, you can see the tortoise withdraws its head inside. So it's safe. When a storm happens, wind, heavy wind, the trees will sway. What will the roots of the trees do? It will stretch. The roots of the trees will stretch so that the trees will not fall down in the storm. You have to stretch, you have to adapt, you have to change. I know a lady who closed down her business. What she did, she began to sell batter for idli and dosa. She began home delivery, the batter for idli and dosa. In a day, she makes 30,000. She told me, I used to make 20 before, 20,000 in a month. In a day, I'm making 1,000 rupees. In a day, 1,000. So in a month, 30,000. I'm making 10,000 more now. A hotelier from Mumbai. He used to run a hotel. It closed down during lockdown. He had more than 30 employees to take care of. He thought, I will not close down and I'll run. I'll not run away. I'll have to take care of these employees. What he did, he converted his hotel into a quarantine center. He went to all the hospitals and told anyone who comes with the patients, they can come to my hotel. I'll give rooms on rent on a monthly basis. You will get rooms over there. So he used to charge 5,000 rupees for a day. Now he started charging or 7,000 or 8,000 rupees for a month. But entire rooms got full. He went to the health workers and he told them, you come and stay in my hotel, you give only half the rent. This is what is adapt and change. He did not cry and he did not run away. A cloth making company, they used to export across the world. Export stopped because there was no demand. What they did immediately, they did a survey. What is required now? PPE kits, masks. They began to make it in hundreds. My point is, you have to find an opportunity. With whom? With the cooperation of your employee. Employee and employer cooperation is the most important part, which will lead to the survival of your business at this point of time. Keeping safety first, keeping all protocols in mind. We will start our business again. We will open the business as a new normal. With your employee, along with you, you work as a team, you can survive. I personally have experienced the staff who works with me, together, me and them, quite easily, we have almost survived. the storm, because we were together. Work as a team, spend less, very important, spend less. You have to spend less at this point of time. Do not spend a lot. You have to spend less. Do not invest more at this point of time. Try to reduce your spending. You have 2-3 floors and you are using only one floor. Give away 2 floors. If it's yours, give it to rent for someone else. If it's on rental basis, just leave it. Many people think what others will think. I have 3 floors, 2 floors, I leave away. Everyone will think I am broke. Let them think why you are worried about others' opinion. Very important. You should know the small and medium enterprises, the micro enterprises. There are a lot of schemes which we do not know actually. Most of our businesses come under micro or small or medium enterprises. There are a lot of subsidies. A bank manager was telling me, you will get interest waiver for 1 full year. Government will pay your interest. I was surprised. I never knew this. This is for SMEs at one point of time. Loans and government schemes. You get a loan. Again, I got a call from the bank. They told, sir, you are an SME. So what you will do? We'll give you a loan for 1 year. You need not repay anything for 1 year. You need not repay after that. So we have to check which are the schemes available. We never do that. Most important, which worries every one of you, is the repayment of your debt. How will I pay my loans? Initially there was a moratorium, but now you should know there is a second moratorium. I think till September you have dates to meet your bank and reschedule the payment options of the loans. You will get 2 years extension. You can tell them, I will pay, but then I need time. Anyone who had opted for the first also can opt for the second. So my point is, there are options. We have to see the options. There will be trouble. It will not be easy. It will be difficult. Most of us are worried about profits, which we could have made in these 2 years. What about the profits we made before? We have assets. And this is not going to stay. We are going to make profit again. We have lost 2 years, so many of our calculations may not have become reality because we could not fund our dreams or whatever we wanted to do. But imagine last 10-15 years you have been working, you have made assets. That is still there. Okay, you have not made anything. You have not made anything. 10 years I have run a business. I'm broke, I don't have anything. But you have 10 years of experience. When you began at first, you never had an experience. 10 years of experience you have. You can find a job, you can start again. So what ifs can be challenged? What if I lose my job? Very, very, very important question. Answer it. In front of you straight, self-employed. Self-employed. See, when you lose the job, what happens, you feel so dejected. 10 years I've been working over there. One fine day, they threw me out and you get so depressed. You get so angry. You get depressed and angry against the system also. You are not ready to work. You are at home. But should not do that. You have a family to take care. You are so good. I understand how smart you are, how good you are. You had a job till now. Why you had a job? Because your employer felt you are good. So in one fine day, that goodness never goes away. I know people who stay in a home together. All of them are working. They do not have much time to make food. They order delicious food, homemade food. I know a lot of people, especially ladies, who deliver tiffins. See, you should know baking. Many youngsters have begun baking cakes and all. They give it. You can start a backyard plant nursery. You can home deliver this plant nursery. House cleaning services. If someone come to my house and tell, I will clean your house, may not be in villages, may not be where there are enough people, but in towns, especially in metros, you will always feel someone is there to take care of it, and people become a YouTuber, and we deliver things at home, art and craft, personalized gift ideas. I buy a gift for someone. Someone comes and tell me, I will personalize it. I will write the name of the person you are selling. I'll giving it. I will write your name also. I'll be happy. I'll give 100 rupees extra to that person. There is Skill India. You can acquire new skills. Online tutoring. Online tutoring. You are all good, and you can teach. Many kids come to you or parents come to you and say, 4th and 5th standard, 6th standard, and I want some attention. Online tutoring. Why should we cry, I do not have a job? I may not be having that job which I used to do, I used to love. But we know the situation. I will get back the job. Better than that. But now I have to survive. So what I'll do, I will not sit at home and cry. I will not be dejected or depressed. I'll come out. I will find a job. And when you are self-employed, you are your boss. What if coronavirus never go away? This is a question which haunts everyone. What if coronavirus never go away? Do not underestimate our doctors and scientists. They are the best among the world. We have fought and won bigger battles before. Where is smallpox? Tell me, where is smallpox? At one time, smallpox used to kill thousands. Where is smallpox? Polio, we have eradicated polio. Nearly eradicated leprosy, elephantiasis. There are effective medicines for malaria, tuberculosis, Nipah virus. Even people with HIV now get medicines which prolong their life for so many years. Science, our power to defeat COVID-19. Trust our scientists, trust our doctors. In 1 year's time, if we can produce a vaccine, in the next 2 years' time, we can perfect the vaccine. So, my dear officers, my dear friends, never think this will not go away. It will. Once we thought smallpox will never go away. We thought polio will never go away. We thought leprosy. We thought we cannot fight tuberculosis. We are doing it now, convincingly. So how can we think coronavirus will not go away? So important, my dear friends, you have to support your child's mental health when your child is in your home. It's very, very important. A child gets online education doesn't mean that the child is getting everything. A child is not going to school or college or university just because he wants to study a syllabus, not only for academics. A school, a college, a university is the child's window to the world. A child steps out of his house, a new world opens in front of him. His friends, while traveling in the school bus, seeing everything around. His teachers. Many of the children love their teachers, at least one or two of them, as they love their parents. They are missing them, please understand. They are missing their friends, they are missing their playtime. So for parent, it's so important, you become not only their father or mother, you become their teacher, you become their friend. You will have to play all these roles. For that, you have to spend sufficient time with these kids. You have to help them to cope with stress. You have to talk to them. You have to listen to your child. Many a time children say, someone is there to listen to me, I'm more than happy. You have to show your care and love. You have to tell them you are there. Imagine at this time when the child is distressed, parents get into an argument, you raise your voice. What happened to that child? You have to be there. You have to be patient. I know it's difficult. but you have a child to take care. So it's so important to take care of their children. I told you, you have to accept the unacceptable. In the sense, if you cannot control, please accept it. But sometimes certain things you cannot accept. It's the loss of our loved ones, especially in these COVID times. People whom we love, we lost them. It's so painful. At some point of time, you might have lost your dear ones, your near ones. Some of the elderly might have lost their parents, some their brothers or sisters or friends. So what is the question we ask? Why me? Why this happened to me? I have experienced this in my personal life. I lost my child in an accident. He was only 7 years old. I asked God, why me? Why you have selected me? I never got an answer. Initially, for 1 year, I did not step out of my house. I was depressed and dejected. But finally, I understood, till the time I accept, I have lost him. I will not be able to move forward. I have to find an answer why I lost him. The answer was, I loved him a lot, but God loved him more. The answer can be different for you, but there should be an answer. Unless and until acceptance comes, you will not be able to move forward. Acceptance that, or accepting you have lost your loved ones, people whom you love, you lost them, you accept it, doesn't mean that you do not love them anymore. Many a times this problem happens to us. We think we do not, once we accept and move on in our life, that means we are not remembering them. Absolutely not. Once you accept you have lost your dear ones, what happens next? You will be able to cherish your memories with your loved ones, the good times you spend together. Till that time, you cannot do that. You will be crying all the time. Once you accept it as reality, they will not be there with us anymore. The memories will come to stay with us. So it's so important to accept that you have lost someone. When you lose someone, God forbid, it should not happen. But if it happens, I know you were a bit sad hearing my personal story, but then every storm in your life is followed by a rainbow, you know. I got another child after 2 years of my child's accident. I gave him the same name. He's now 12 years old. So always remember, storm in your life, it will be there. Life is a mixture of happiness and sorrow. But always, once you have sorrow, it will not take much time for happiness to follow. Hopelessness is a word which can be made so positive by just removing less from hopeless. If you change your thoughts, hopelessness will become hope. Happiness is the biggest immunity you can have during this pandemic. But how will I remain happy? To remain happy, you want to find gratitude. You should find gratitude. So important you find gratitude. Be thankful for what you have. I have a lot of things as compared to others, but I'm not able to see it. That's why I'm not happy. I told you we have 2 vaccines. 130 countries do not have vaccines. Still, we are not happy with our vaccines. We are healthy. You are able to listen to this lecture because you are healthy. Still, we feel we are not blessed. How can it be? You are blessed. Try to understand. You visualize for a moment. I want all of you to close your eyes for a moment and think of everyone you deeply care about, the people you love. Just think for a moment and you will see a lot of faces coming in. Think of those people whom you love. I am so sure you are so fortunate to have a lot of people. A lot of people will come in. Now you smile because you are not alone in your battle. You always think you are alone in your battle, but you have your family, your friends. You have your family, your friends along with you to share this. See them. Understand everyone is fighting a battle. So I remember to be kind to them. I never scream at them or I never shout at them. That is what you should think. I means we all. So when I am driving a car, someone else come and he do a mistake and bangs on my car. Naturally, what we do? We just come out, we shout and we scream and all. Ultimately, what will happen? He will go. What happens to us? The entire day is lost. Our lifespan comes down when we scream and fight. There is a lot of difference between a discussion and an argument. In a discussion, what happens, if I say A plus B is equal to C and you say A plus B is equal to D, then we can sit and discuss. Both of us will discuss and both of us will come to a conclusion. Okay, I'm not sure this is C, and you will say I'm not sure this is D. Okay, we'll ask someone else. There is an outcome. In an argument, it never happens like that. I say A plus B is equal to C, and you will say A plus B is equal to D. I argue for 2 hours with you. After that also, I will say A plus B is equal to C, and you will say A plus B is equal to D. Then why did we argue? So do not scream. Be kind to others, and helping others make us so happy during this pandemic. Distribute food for those people who are needy. If you can, get a hospital bed for your friend. Just call a friend who is infected with COVID. Just ask him how you are. You will be so proud of yourself. When you do some help others, now what happens, you will feel so satisfied. Pay the fee of a child, who cannot afford. I do not hate, I forgive. I do not hate anyone. People might be doing things which may create problems for you. What should you do? The only way is to forgive them. I do not hate them. They might have done wrong to me, but I do not hate them. That doesn't mean that I'm friends with them again. That doesn't mean that. But I try to remove them from my mind by forgiving them so that I regain my peace. I'm forgiving them not for them, but for me also. So think of a lot of people who might have wronged you. You're keeping that grudge inside you. Remove it. Let it go. You cannot take revenge in the same way they have done because you are good people, you are not like others. Then what is the difference between you and them? Just forget them and forgive. You will find peace because thoughts of taking revenge against someone who has wronged you can increase your stress. I take good care of my physical and mental health. Do you? I want to ask you. See, life is so beautiful. I'm addicted to my beautiful life, my family, my friends, and my work. I have a lot of addictions in my life. My family is my addiction, my friends, my work. Such a beautiful life. So I don't need any more addictions. Why should I need alcohol or drugs? Already I'm addicted. My family, this beautiful life, I told you, my friends and my work. I'm happy and I'm content with my beautiful life. I'm putting this slide so that you can just evaluate yourself, how much you are taking care of yourself. This is a point which is one of the most important points. I'm concluding. Before that, I have to discuss. See, most of us take care of everyone around us. Our family, we take care of our children, we take care of work, office, neighbors, everyone, but we fail to take care of ourselves. First and foremost, you have to take care of yourself. When you are there, others are there. You are so important to others. Why you are not taking care of yourself? Self-care doesn't mean that you are selfish. You have to take care of yourself. See, I want you to take a screenshot of this if possible, or you can take a pic using your mobile so you can later on do this. You wake up early and gratitude prayers and gratitude prayers. God, you have given me this fine day and all these things which I have. Belief is something which can make you stress-free, provided you believe. Belief is very, very subjective. So I believe in God because I feel there is a power beyond us who has created all these wonderful things around us. Different creatures, this world, these oceans, the sky, See, believing in God is like just when we in our childhood we go out in a crowded place, we hold our father's hand, we feel so safe. Whatever happens, he will take care of me. I will not be lost. The same is the feeling when you trust God completely. Many times people go to God and pray every day, please take care of me, and then they come out and then they start worrying again. That means you do not trust God. When you give everything to God, then you should not worry. Gratitude prayers, it's so important. It may be to God, it may be to universe, it may be simple. Thank you. Positive affirmations about this day, I'm going to have a good day. Good visuals in your mind always will give you a lot of positivity. Many people might feel, and I have written something silly, drink water, but that's so essential, so essential, which we forget. 45 minutes walk and then take a shower. See, most of us have got showers at home, but then we never use it. We always use a mug. But shower, what happens, when this water falls on your face and you feel like you are in rain, that feeling, take a healthy breakfast. In the office, I make it a point to greet my colleagues. Ask yourself, I have a daily task list. My appointments, I take care. I interact with my colleagues. I am calm and composed. I never scream at my colleagues or I never shout. I'm calm. Shouting or screaming never bring a solution to any problem. It never. You have to be strict. You have to be stern. You have to tell there is a mistake, but in a very calm and composed way. Again, this drink water comes. You have to appreciate and express your gratitude to your colleagues. It's so important. You tell your colleagues, thank you. Appreciate yourself also. When you say thank you to your colleagues, you see their face. They're so happy. And I'm happy too. Lunchtime, chat with the colleagues. Share your tiffin. Sometimes with your close colleagues. By evening, I'll make a review of my day task and then I clean up my office table. I celebrate the occasions together, birthdays, the anniversaries. I share it with my colleagues. Evening again, come back and you have tea and healthy snacks, and there should be a family chat time. Very important. Sit together, have dinner with your family. After that, you just turn off your phone and there should be worry time. I told you worry time. Initially, I told you can worry about things you can change. So there should be a worry time also. And meditate and prayers. Meditation is a word which is misunderstood by a lot of people. Meditation, people think you just sit at a place and you breathe, inhale and exhale. That's not meditation. Meditation means stay in present. Stay in present without thinking of your past or future, without being disturbed about what happened in the past or future. Stay in present. For example, you are sitting on a chair, feel the chair. That's meditation. Sometimes you eat food and we ask you how tasty the food was. You will not be able to give an answer because while eating food, you are somewhere else. Your thoughts are somewhere else. Eating food, enjoying its taste. That's meditation. That's why we say do not watch TV and eat food. How will you be able to be in present? Sleep for 7-8 hours. It's so important. When I have a holiday, I clean my house with my family. I cook for my family. Again, I means we all. I read a book. I do a bit of gardening and I have a hobby. When you create something, you have a garden. You'll be so happy to see the seed you planted becomes a plant and then the bud comes and the flower comes. You go and smell the flower. When was the last time you planted a plant and you smelled the flower? Maybe in your childhood, many of you. Creation gives you happiness. It reduces your stress. Health checkup. Again, people laugh when I say health checkup. Why should I do this? So important. It takes half an hour, 1 hour. A health checkup once in a while, in a year. Going out with your family, shopping, watching a movie together in the house at present because we cannot do it outside now. Family screen time. I hope you are taking snapshots and your scores, later on you can analyze your scores. Spiritual time, spiritual time. Spiritual doesn't mean religion. Spiritual means being peaceful. Spread happiness around you. Spread positivity around you, make this world better. So sit and then think how you can do it. Academic discussions with children, I do during these holidays, whenever I get holidays, not every day, during the holidays. Community service is very important, helping others. You can help lot of people around, A person who earns 300 rupees can also help, can spare 20 rupees, which will bring a snack to a child in the street. I do this. You ask yourself, I'm so sure you are doing it. I know you are all good people. I know you're going to score 12 out of 12 in this. I'm concluding. I'm thankful, all of you. Say you are thankful. I'm thankful. Why I'm thankful? Because I'm blessed. Because my blessings are too many to count. I look around. I can see my parents. I can see my family who love and share. I can see my teachers. I can see my colleagues. I can see my job. I can see those faces whom I have helped. I can see I'm healthy. I know when I have a problem, my friends will come in to take care of me. I have people to share and care. Why should I complain? Why should I complain when I have all these blessings? But we keep on complaining. Why? Because we are not seeing these blessings. Count your blessings from today onwards. Start it now, today onwards. You will never complain. As compared to a lot of people around, we have more. We have more. So why should we complain? I'm thankful. I like this quote a lot. That's why I put it. It's from Antonio Guterres, our UN Secretary General. He told we are in this together and we will get through this together. You are not alone, he told us, the Secretary General of the United Nations. We are in this together and we will get through this together. Our government, our system, our healthcare system, everyone is there. We are a country with more than 130 crore people. It's difficult. Do not compare our country with a country with 3 crore people. It's difficult. But it's not impossible. We have shown before. We are showing it again. We are in this together, dear friends, and we will get through this together. Before I conclude, I would like to thank all the officers of NASIN and all the participants for being there. A special thanks to NASIN for opening this webinar to the common public. It was so thoughtful of you. So thank you so much.